Hi everybody, my name is Jo and I love to read. Today I'm going to be doing a fairly rare video for myself, and that is a haul video. These days I rarely actually buy a whole bunch of books together that would justify a haul. Otherwise I might just, I don't know, I don't think I actually post anywhere if I purchase a book. It's only if I start reading it. So this will be kind of fun to explain why I've gotten all these books in the one go and what drew me to them and what they're about. The majority were bought while we were away in a town that's about 6 hours from where we live. Something that Daniel and I both really enjoy doing is just walking around the town, checking out what shops there are, and he often will go into a game shop, I'll often go into a bookstore, and it's just a really fun way to check out the town and see if there's anything we might want to purchase. So the first one I got was from QBE Books, and that was in a mall, and it's Fool's Errand by Hobb. It's the possible first book that I would like to be reading after I've had this next baby. I'm 34 weeks right now and eagerly awaiting when he is going to be born. Third trilogy within Robin Hobb's big series, The Realm of the Elderlings, but it is the second trilogy featuring Fitz, who is the main character in the first trilogy, which I absolutely loved. And I read the third one, Assassin's Quest, sort of by accident. It was just what I was up to. It was the first book that I read with my first son, Miles. There is a trilogy in between this which I have not finished. It's The Live Ship Traders. I might end up reading that one because I still have it on ebook, and sometimes when I'm in the hospital I seem to be in the mood to read it. There's been a couple of times where I've taken Miles in to the ER. He's all fine, but I've taken him into emergency and I've ended up reading that book, even though I haven't really enjoyed reading Ship of Magic, and I've DNF'd it quite a few times but then kept picking it up. So I'm not really sure what was going to happen, but when I was in QBE and looking to purchase something, this is the one that stuck out to me. The next book I got in an independent bookstore called Boutique, and that is The Dragons of Deepwood Fen by Bradley P. Beaulieu. I've never heard of this before. I've never seen it anywhere, so I'd be really curious if anybody would like to comment down below if they've seen it or not as well. To be honest, when I go and look at things in bookshops, look for books in bookshops, I feel kind of weird about it because I have so many books to read, and for so many years it was my goal to get down to a 0 TBR. I did achieve that, and I have had my TBR come back up in certain levels. Like this is TBR 2, so all of this here, and here. So essentially 3 little shelves are TBR books. I don't need to be buying books, but I enjoy doing it if I can be in the right mood for it. Sometimes I still feel a little bit guilty, but when I'm away from home, it feels okay, because it's sort of like something that I'm doing for fun because we're out of town, check out new bookshops, but I don't like doing it often at home in person because it just feels odd. I could go and purchase books every week and then I would never get to them all. Anything that I had heard about previously was not really jumping out at me. I wasn't really in the mood to read any of it. The Will of the Many was there. I didn't really, I probably will like to read that book one day because of how popular it is, but it's not something that I've gone, yes, I have to read today. And I just saw this cover and it grabbed me, and I've read the back of the book and it really grabbed me. The 2 main characters, Lorelei and her this other person, Ryland, that she's met, they both get branded as traitors at some point, and then they must flee on dragonback to the massive forest known as the Holt. And that's what grabbed me, is the idea of hiding in a forest. I'm really hoping that that's what vibes we get and that I really enjoy it. It's a chunky book for something I've never heard of before, but I am pretty excited. And I was trying to look at when was it published to see whether it's just new, but no, it was published in 2023. So what's that, 2 years ago from that? God, my math doesn't work. 2 years ago, and I have not heard a whisper about it at all online. So I wonder, has anybody read this? What did you think? At the same bookshelf, I also got a gorgeous edition of The Hobbit by JRR Tolkein. This one is illustrated by Jemima Catlin. I have read The Hobbit before in well, it's all in novel form, but in non-illustrated form, and I was just looking at it going, man, it'd be nice to have a really pretty edition to be able to read with Miles one day when he's up to that, and now I do. And so here's one illustration spoiler. There's full page ones, there's little ones dotted about the book as well. He's definitely, I don't think, up to the stage where he'll be able to read and take this in with me. He's only 3 years old. We have moved forward with reading recently. He wasn't very good at reading books that had a lot of words on the pages, even if they had pictures, but he was recently gifted a box set of Dr. Seuss books for his 3rd birthday, and I was thinking, oh no, he's not, you know, he was not ready for this yet, but it seems like he's jumped ahead another leap, and so now we can actually read them. There are also a lot of rhyming. They're really quick to read as well, like if you can get into the rhyming flow of them, and he really enjoys them. So who knows, maybe he'll be ready for this in a little bit, probably for not another few years, but that's okay. I'm really excited to have it. I might decide to read it myself. I've seen it before, but I couldn't resist when I saw it at the bookshop, so it's beautiful. The last book I have to talk about is an unexpected find. So I was looking at a free library in my local area, which I always do look at without feeling weird about it like I do with my local bookshop, and I picked up something which is quite different, but I'm excited about that. It's sort of different. It's called Well of Darkness, book 1 in the Sovereign Stone trilogy by Margaret, Weis and Tracy Hickman. It is epic fantasy. It was published in 2000, so even though it's like 2000, it took me a moment to like realize this. I was talking to Daniel about it, and because I was talking about how funny the illustrations were on the cover, and I said that's very 90s epic fantasy, and he said, well, you do realize that 2000 is 1 year away from the 90s. So I'm thinking that it's that kind of 90s epic fantasy. Apparently Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman also wrote the Dragonlance series, which is kind of popular, but I've never heard of it before. Let me know down below if you've heard of that one or this one as well. But what sort of drew me to it is, well, not as well, I was reading the back of the story, the blurb on the back, and it was really interesting, and it wasn't until I got to the end that it said that it's actually from the villain's perspective, which is going to be really interesting. The main premise so far of this one, because I've started to read it so I remember a bit more, this little boy isn't really loved by his parents so much as you would hope, especially by our modern standards. His parents are nobles, and so they had him, and then they were pretty much like, yeah, you're gonna get raised by servants, see you later. And now that he is 9 years old, the prince needed a whipping boy. Now, if you don't know what a whipping boy is, there were these kids that were, I say hired, but they were essentially slaves. You didn't really have much of a choice, especially being a kid that age. If your parents put you up for it, well, that's what you were going to do. But because the royals themselves, as kids, you weren't allowed to lay a hand on them, they would have these other stand-in children that if you needed any physical punishment as the royal person, they were the ones that got hit or flogged, or I mean, they got the physical abuse, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. I didn't really realize this when I took it home with me. I was just really interested in the kingdom and that it was epic fantasy from the 90s. Then I remembered what a whipping boy was, which it says it on the back, but I forgot about it until I actually read into it a bit more. I'm actually reading it right now and I'm up to here, and I don't know how my heart is gonna go with this. I'm trying to hold back from Googling any of this to see what the general consensus is of people. I just want to go into it totally blind, and I'm having a really good time. That is it for my book haul. Thank you guys so much for getting this far in the video and watching my channel. Please comment something down below if you would like to. Like this video. If you want to comment and you don't know what to say, then comment a love heart emoji. Subscribe if you want to see more from me. Thanks so much for checking out my channel again. I hope you guys are going so well, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!